Have you ever heard the saying that I've caught on the Teabag today? Well, don't worry if you haven't, because in this video, I'm going to explain everything. So I know that was quite a weird intro, but if you've ever heard a mackerel course angler say they've caught on the Teabag, what they mean is this stuff right here, PVA mesh bags. Now, I'm not sure who named it. If you know, I'd love to know myself. Drop us a comment and let us know. But probably the name is because once these are made up, they do look a little bit like a Teabag, and it's just a phrase that's really stuck with match anglers. So yeah, if you've ever heard of it, basically they mean PVA. And if you're not familiar with PVA, it's a substance that basically melts in water, so it lets you put a small pile of bait right around your hook bait, and it's also very, very versatile. You can change what bait you put in there, how much you put in there, loads of different things, but obviously it does need to be PVA friendly, which we'll come on to more in a moment with baits and stuff like that. Now, before hopefully this swings around the catch one, I do want to say where I would fish the PVA bag, because it's exactly where we are today. It's an open water method for me, in deeper lakes targeting bigger fish. That is where I would use PVA. Personally, I don't think it's as effective if you're trying to catch absolutely loads of fish, tight up to an island in shallow water. I'd opt for a method feeder or something like that. But there's definitely a place for match anglers to be having PVA in their tackle box, and that's what we're going to cover in this video. So hopefully we're going to catch one fairly soon, then we'll get straight into it with talking about baits, rigs, tactics, and everything you need to know about PVA. Proper one that you can expect to catch on the PVA. That was a couple of nice fish. So while I'm out of the water, it's a good time to take a look at the rig and the hardware that I'm using. Now, because I said that when I'm fishing a PVA bag, I do like to fish in open water, targeting bigger fish. I actually opt for using a 12-foot feeder rod and my standard 4,000 reel with 8-pound line on it. I don't very often use a 12-foot feeder rod, if I'm honest. Normally I like 10 foots because they are just nice to get the fish up near your feet, but bigger fish, I think it does lean towards a 12-foot. But the actual rig itself is actually really nice and simple. Now, when I'm fishing PVA bag, I like to fish it on a lead clip setup. So there's a standard lead clip setup here. I'm sure you've all seen them before. I've got a 30-gram lead. Now that purely depends on how far you're casting. If you really wanted to whack these, you can cast them an awful long way, like as far as you can a method feeder, and you could use like a 2-ounce lead. It wouldn't make a difference. Now, I'd slightly different in the arrangement. Now, I tend to use a hook link swivel because it just nestles inside that lead clip. If I just snap it in there, so it's almost semi-fixed. Any sort of tension, and it does pop out and it's free running. So that's why I use a little hook link swivel in there, because I get a slight bolt effect and then it goes free running. But if your fishery insists on having a free running rig, which a lot do, all you need to do is just a tiny end of the swivel. If you crimp it with a little bit set of pliers, basically it will just flatten that eye out slightly, and it will then be completely free running, so you can still use a lead clip and this same setup. Now, I use the hook link swivel because it's very easy to change my hook link. That'll become apparent why I do that in a moment, because we're going to go through to how you get prepared. I've just done it like this because I want to show you the rig. Now, the next bit that's really important is a fluorocarbon hook link. I use it about 10 inches long, but fluorocarbon is so much more stiffer than mono, and what you want is that separation from your lead to your hook bait. So with a bit of fluorocarbon, 10-pound fluorocarbon this is, so it's quite thick, quite heavy, but big fish. You know, I want to use heavier tackle, but more so the reason for that actual poundage is because it's stiffer to kick this hook bait away. Hook baits, you can choose whatever you want, which we will definitely come on to in a moment. And I've just got a bait banded on here with a size 12 hook. So I'm just gonna bait this one up and we'll go back out there and see if we can catch another one. But the first way of hooking on your PVA bag, so make some up ready, which I'm going to do once I've cast this out. I'll talk to you a bit more about it. But this one I've just gone for some 3mm pellets in there, and because today we're not actually casting very far, you can literally just hook the PVA bag on like you would just any bait really. Just as long as you go through a few strands, that is going to be secure enough to withstand a cast probably up to 30, 40, 50 yards probably, no problem at all. If I was going further than that, I would do something different, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So let's get back out there. I am clipped up because I feel once you find some fish, you can keep sort of building your swim up a little bit. So let's just get that out there. Same as you would in feeder fishing, you want a repetitive, hit the same spot, and definitely you can build up a little bit of a swim. You can get some quicker bites going that way. If you weren't getting bites, don't be afraid to take that clip off, move and try somewhere else. But once you find them, I definitely think it's worth clipping up to an area where you found a few fish, because it can be fairly productive. So once that's in the rod rest, now this is what you should be doing next. You should always have extra rigs and tackle ready to go for your next bite, because it can get quite hectic. I mean, that's out there fishing now. Probably in the next 5 seconds that PVA is going to be dissolving. I could get a bite anywhere in that time. So I have myself 1 or 2 rigs spared. The hook bait is on there, and you want to start making yourself up some bags. So if I just make a bag up here, in this one I'm going to go for a bit of ground bait and pellets, but like I said, there'll definitely be a bait section coming up. And tying the PVA bags, I think it's a bit personal because everyone I know does them slightly different, and you just find your own little knack way of doing it. But you want it to be nice and compact. That's really important, PVA bags, that it's really solid and compact, because it helps the melt time, and you get a nice little explosion, creates a nice little pile of bait. But I put mine nice and tight, I twist it, I make a loop in the PVA with my fingers, thread that through there, and then you keep the knot really tight to the PVA bag and pull the knot down. Like I said, everybody I know, I think, ties a PVA bag in a different way. So just find your own little nick way of doing it and it'll be absolutely fine. Then you tie another knot, get yourself a pair of scissors and cut in between. So the reason for the second knot is that's now ready to go again for another bag. And what you can do, this is where I was saying why I use those quick hook link swivels, is because you can change your rig in and out. Now, if I was casting further, I said to you I'd do something different. I'd do what I'm doing here. I'd use a baiting needle and I would thread on my PVA bag and just hook the hook into the end. Now that is absolutely perfect to cast as far as you physically can. The bag's not going to come off. It's definitely withstanding the cast, and it's definitely getting to the bottom in deeper water. So again, if it was really deep, I would definitely use this way in threading my hook link through my PVA bag. And don't be afraid to get a couple of these ready. It's the perfect time while that's fishing. You know, the best thing about feeder fishing, you don't need to be watching anything really. I mean, I'm going to see if this gets dragged in, so I can make myself up a few PVA bags, get myself ready for the next bite, which hopefully isn't going to be too long. So yeah, there's the rig. Like I said, not very complicated. That's what I prefer. You could use it on an inline setup if you want, anything like that, just whatever you're comfortable with. But this really does work for me. That slight little snap swivel into the lead clip, and then how quick it is to change a hook link, which once this swings round and we catch another fish, I will show you how quick it is to take that hook links on there now and put this one on instead. So let's wait for that swing round, catch another one, and we'll go on to the baits and swapping over those hook links. That didn't take too long, and this one's going absolutely mental. They're really fighting. You can tell it's the warmer weather because they've got so much energy, but it proves that it's a very effective method if you can get it where the fish are. It's all about putting it in front of a few fish, because each PVA bag is pretty much, whoa, it's pretty much a mouthful, same as what you'd expect on the method feeder and stuff like that. You're trying to create sort of a one mouthful pile of bait they can go in, and your hook bait is right next to it. And hopefully with that fluorocarbon hook link being extended, that's why it's so important to have that hook link like that, because then they feel the weight of the lead. Hopefully it will shake out of that tiny little bit of resistance that it's got, and now my lead's going to be free running while I'm playing it. So they can't use that lead to swing and get rid of the hook. That's another reason why I really like this setup. So let me see if this one's going to play ball. Another nice fish. Definitely a method for me that leans itself towards bigger carp and stuff. I wouldn't be using it for F1s. I solely use this method on situations we've got here, open water fishing, targeting bigger fish, because what we're going to come on to next, if I can get this one in, is baits. Because one thing that a method or a hybrid or anything like that doesn't allow you to do, well, within reason, you can't fish as many baits as you can with a PVA bag. You couldn't use 8 you couldn't use 8 mils, for example, on a method feeder where you can with this, and that's a really good winter tactic. Just right here I've got a bag tied up which has got 3 little 8 mils in it. Come on, stop talking and concentrate. We're in. So yeah, it's a tactic that really does work all year. And there we go. There is another very angry mirror carp. Let's see if we can hold him up. Lovely hook in the side. Cool, that one was not getting away with it. It really wanted it. There we go. Right. Calm down. Oh, it's gonna go. And there we go. There is the result. I'm gonna guess that bite took about, what am I gonna say? 6-8 minutes, something like that. I didn't actually time it, but it wasn't too long. And there you go. You've probably got, in a match situation, another 7 pound I'm going to give myself for that. Yeah, real good way of building up some weight. But let's not ruin its day too much longer. Let's get that one slipped back. Go on. They're really angry, really angry with me. And then let's talk about the bait, and obviously, like I was saying, the reason why I use that little quick change hook link. It's just spun the rig up there as I was showing that to you. So let me see if I can quickly untangle this. There we go. Right, so that's how it got me in a right old mess, that one. Serves me right for not concentrating and talking to you. But here we go. So rig back, like I said, so that's now sliding. All I do is I just nick that back in there for the bolt rig effect. But the beauty about these swivels is they come with a little tiny rubber collar, so I can take my hook link off. That one that you saw me prepare earlier, proper Blue Peter style, clips back on there, and that's how quick you're ready to go. So actually, in fairness, it's probably quicker than reloading up a method feeder. And this one, if I really want to, I could cast a lot further because it's actually sitting in the bag. But funny enough, I just said casting it further. I've seen quite a lot of activity actually, quite a bit closer. So just out of curiosity, I'm going to change where I was fishing and just see if those fish are willing to have a feed. There's a lot of fish activity there, and that's one thing again, that don't be too stuck about fishing the same spot. I mean, if this cast goes in and I don't have one, I'm definitely going to go back to the spot I was fishing, but I have seen probably 6 or 7 fish show right where I've just cast that bag while I was waiting for that bite. And although I'm catching on the spot that I was fishing, not seeing too much activity. So let's give that a go. Put that in the rest, set the clutch slightly, because if I'm talking to you I might not see if that goes. So there we go. First thing you need to do, get yourself another rig ready. You could have 3 or 4, like if you were catching loads you could really get yourself prepared. But let's talk about baits. Now I've gone down a very krill approach today because I just really like krill in the summer. I think it's a very summer bait, and then when it gets to winter I'd switch to like F1 sweet or something like that. So let's have a look at the baits first. In here I've got some 8mm pellets. I've already mentioned that you can make little bags up, and I've got some pre-tied here, all different sizes. In the winter, a little bag, 3 8mm pellets is absolutely mega. You're hardly feeding anything. Or in the summer you can go up to as many as you want. That's the beauty about having different sizes and stuff like that. So 8mm pellets is one thing that I do like to put inside a bag. Excuse me. This one, I've got some ground bait, just pushed it through a riddle, mixed it in a normal way, but I must say I do mix it slightly drier because obviously water would melt the PVA. So slightly dry ground bait is another really good one to try. And actually when ground bait's slightly dry, it's almost neutrally buoyant. So if you're fishing over a lake bed that's really silty, I'd really recommend having some dry ground bait because it sits on top of there nicely. It's not as heavy as pellets. And then obviously we go into 3mm pellets. Like I said, it's all in the krill flavour, and they're the baits that I've got with me today in this tub here. One last one. I've got a mixture of pellets and ground bait, and it is really about playing with these and trying to find out what is best on the day, because every day will be different. Those couple of fish have just come on a little 8mm pellet, so I have got some bags tied up, but I'm going to tie another one up, and I'm going to go 8mm pellet I think on this one. So if you want to be really precise, what you can do, you can use a little measure like a toss pot or something that you'd use on your pole, and you get exactly the same quantity every time. I'm not too worried about that today because I want to see if they're responding to more bait or are they responding to less bait. So it's very trial and error with stuff like that. So what I'll do is tie up this bag with 8mm pellet, and we'll give that one a go next chuck. On this one that we've got out there now, we've got a selection of ground bait and pellets in there. Really am trying to mix it up. So that's another one there, all nice and ready. I'm going to hook that onto my bag here. Like I said, I don't need to thread it because my biggest chuck here, we've got a rope going across us. My biggest chuck is probably 60 yards probably, and I can cast that with hooking it on. I'm pretty confident on there, but like I said, don't be afraid to thread it on if you need to. And then quickly, hopefully this is going to swing round. I'm talking to you. Last thing we'll talk about is hook bait. So literally again, the world is your oyster with hook baits. I like to use, these are soaked up wowzers in yellow. I've got some other in orange, pink, white, all sorts of different colours, because just changing the hook bait can be a massive thing in fishing. Just a tiny little change up can make a huge difference. So that is the baits. Like I said, experiment with them. As far as it goes with PVA, as long as it's PVA friendly, go on. There we go. As long as it's PVA friendly, then you can put absolutely anything inside PVA. What about that? That's a good little switch, wasn't it? Normally if I'm catching, I'm quite reluctant to change my area that I'm fishing, but it just looks so good there, so many fish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this one in, concentrate a little bit, and I've got one final trick that I want to talk you through after I've caught a couple more. So let's see if I can catch a couple more, and then the last trick we're going to tell you how to get an extra few bites. I'm really glad that I chose to swap those spots now. I don't know if it was that or if it coincided with the weather change a little bit. The sun sort of dipped in as I was talking to you there, but I've just had 3 bites really quickly, and it's probably a combination of the two. So let me take that hook link off. As always, we've got one here ready. But the last thing that I want to talk to you about, just to give you an extra little edge if you are going to give this a go, is liquids. Now obviously when we're talking about liquids, you do have to make sure they're PVA friendly, but there's plenty on the market. The one that I'm going to be using today is the liquid carp fruit from Dynamite. It's the worm flavour. Worms are amazing for catching any fish, we know that. So that one is really good. And most of the liquids, if they are PVA friendly, will have a little label. You can see on here it says PVA friendly. Lots of them that are like that will actually have it labelled on there. There's other ones as well that you could try. The sticky pellet syrup is also PVA friendly, but you can't use anything that's water based because it will melt the bag. And I actually do avoid any oil based liquids because it does really affect the melt time. Sometimes when I want to try and get quick bites, some bites come after like a minute or so, I think the oil would definitely affect the melt time and it wouldn't be as quick. Certainly in winter, if you're fishing this, don't dip your bags in like hemp oil or stuff like that. It will melt eventually, but it will definitely slow it down. So all I do is I've just emptied some of this worm liquid into this tub here and then just literally glug absolutely everything. And look at that. That is now really flavoursome. So it soaks into the PVA, it soaks into the pellets, my hook bait, absolutely everything. And as that enters the water, what it's going to do is create an absolute column of flavour attraction, hopefully pulling them down. So I'm just going to plot where I did back to that shorter spot, just because that little spell there has been so good. Like I said, they were definitely showing in that area, and there's always time for one more fish. And that is exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put this on the rest and I'm going to try and catch one more fish. Hopefully it's not going to take too long, but yeah, definitely think about adding liquids. Like I said, 2 that I'll give you there, very good. But if you've got a favourite liquid, as long as it is PVA friendly, then by all means give it a go. I'm going to get another hook link ready just because in case we don't get one on this cast. It's nice and quick and you're just ready to go out there again. It's no point with this having to tie a bag up and do that while you're sitting out of the water. You may as well do it here while you're sitting waiting for a bite. I said it earlier, you don't really need to watch because you wait for your rod to get dragged in. So whoa, like maybe like that, you wait for your rod to get dragged in. I didn't quite get that bag ready, but I don't probably need it because as long as this one comes in, then that's going to be it for today. Now if you are interested in any of the products that I've used in this video, whether it be the liquids, the baits, the tackle, anything like that, what I'll do is I'll put it all in a dedicated blog page for you, so all of it in one place. And if you want to have a go on this method, then by all means take a look at that, get yourself on the bank and use it. I've said it at the start, it's not something that I would use all the time. There's definitely a situation where it's going to be better, but it's well worth having in your armoury, because if you are dealt a situation like we've got here, open water, bigger fish, then it is something that I would turn to. What about that? Hey, that liquid didn't take long, did it? I think actually that was I know that's the quickest bite we've had all day. So I probably should have been using the liquid earlier, but I wanted to show you the effectiveness of PVA without those liquids, because I didn't want anyone to think that that's the reason why it was working. But you can definitely enhance it, and I think that right there proves it. So yeah, grab yourself some liquid and a liquid worm. Oh no, we're lost. Oh dear, never mind. That was perhaps one to end on, but shame we didn't get it in. I hope that you have enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we will see you very soon on another Match Masterclass.